Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Lightning Assault Noosphere podcast. My name is Nathan Leahy, aka The Mesa, and joining me today is James, aka The Mad Magos.
Howdy doody.
And Dan, aka Little Willie.
I am here.
If you would like to support us in doing what we're doing, in carrying on and improving some of our podcasts, our battle reps, and getting some more terrain stuff like that and equipment, you can support us on patreon.com/lightning assault. You could also join our Discord community, and the link is in the description below, as well as the overlay in this video. If you are a member of our Patreon, you get a special Discord role, and you also enjoy the ability to join our podcast channel and listen in live via Discord instead of via YouTube, as it's going out live, which I believe Alistair is doing right now. If you would like to get some commission work done, James, where can they find you?
Yes, so you can find me on Fiverr under Mad Magos Paints, and you can also hit me up on Instagram under Mad Magos Paints.
Yep, and if you would like to check out the Meadery, you can find us at lightningassaultmeadery.com and on Facebook at facebook.com/lightningassaultmeadery, and hopefully in the next couple of weeks we might have a bit more news about that, but we'll keep that on the down low for now.
Yeah.
So today we are starting our new series, but before we do that, before we go into that, I felt like we needed to touch on the man. The
Just
model that has destroyed everything.
Jeff.
Your boy Helbrecht. What's aside from the memes? What are the thoughts?
It's a great model.
Really like it. Yeah.
Fantastic model, and I like again that they're using old art for inspiration. It's great.
Yeah.
I also
nod to. Sorry, go on.
No, carry on, James.
I was going to say, even the little nod with the dead orc below him, because obviously, otherwise, the Black Templars were fighting the orcs on Armageddon, alongside the Blood Angels and whoever else, the Iron Hands, Salamanders. Basically, there was nigh on every chapter was represented in the War for Armageddon.
Yeah.
And Helbrecht left with Gazgul obviously got bored of the fighting, basically, because it ground to a stalemate. Gazgul fucked off, and when they realised he had, Helbrecht took his Templars and the Commissar.
Yarrick?
Oh, Yarrick, that's the one. And Yarrick, and then buggered off into the stars to chase down Gazgul, and through the nefarious gods of Gork and Mork, Gazgul escaped, and then I think that's pretty much where we're up to, lore-wise. So yeah, like I said, the nod with the dead orc below him is a nice little touch, and like Dan says, using original old artwork as inspiration for the mini, yeah, I think they've knocked it out the park with them, to be honest.
Yeah, no, it's a great sculpt. All of the new Games Workshop sculpts recently have been absolutely fantastic. They've really stepped up their game in terms of sculpts. Like obviously, you got Helbrecht, but
I mean, all the Black Templar stuff.
Yeah, like Lord Croak, for example. I know that's Age of Sigmar, but Lord Croak for Age of Sigmar, fantastic model. Obviously, Be'lakor, fantastic model as well.
Yeah,
I have noticed. Is he the first? Is he the first Primaris guy to be on a bigger base compared to all the rest of the characters? Because his base is huge.
Yeah, it looks Gulliman sized, doesn't it?
Yeah, I don't think. I think the picture makes him look bigger than it actually is. So I don't think it's quite as large as Gulliman's. I think Gulliman's is like 80 mil or something like that. His definitely looks like it's either 50 or 60 mil though. It's massive.
Yeah, I'd edge on the side of the larger 60 from what photos I've seen of it. It'll be interesting.
Yeah, for sure.
Like I say, it's possibly setting the precedent. It'd be interesting to see how, well, because I haven't seen any of these rules or anything yet, how that larger base style works mechanics-wise, with his interactions with other units and what buffs he's going to have, will definitely be interesting.
Yeah.
But it's more to the point. If he's the equivalent to a chapter master, yeah, for the Templars.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, High Marshal.
Yeah, it's basically their chapter master. Yeah.
So does that then mean that any Space Marine player can start sticking their chapter master if they upgrade the captain to a chapter master and then have him on a larger base?
No. He's a named character. He's a named character. It doesn't work like that. But
Just a thought.
I want to know, because in the background you see a guy that's polishing off a big old melter there, or a combi melter. Does that mean that he actually has a combi melter?
Yeah. So his old,
we haven't seen the rules yet.
His old model had the fancy sword and a combi melter. It's got a name. I can't remember what it's called, but it is basically just a standard combi melter. Nothing fancy about it. But he does. His old rules had it, so I assume his new rules will have it as well.
Yeah, it makes sense. That's cool. It's nice to have headquarters that got some decent shooting.
Yeah, something that's not a plasma pistol.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah,
that's cool. I'm looking forward to seeing them on the tabletop.
Oh yeah, definitely. Am I correct in remembering that the Black Templars give 0 fucks about the Codex and the 1,000 chapter size rule?
Correct.
They completely disregard the Codex Astartes. They don't give a shit.
Yeah.
They are like, I think they're the biggest. They're basically legion sized at this point.
Yeah. The thing is, the Inquisition and the High Lords of Terror multiple times have tried investigating them, but because they're just on this crusade that they've been on since Siege of Terror, because that's basically what happened. It was Sigismund and all the hot-headed Imperial fists got chucked into the Black Templars, and then Sigismund declared the Long Crusade, and they went off. And obviously, because they use the kind of Imperial Fist thing of if they capture a world, they'll put like a chapter keep on there where they can recruit from, and they've got those dotted all over the galaxy. And then, like you say, the Crusades themselves, the Crusades can be anything from a 5-man squad to 5,000 Marines, and they just can't keep track of where they're at and how many they've got in total. Logistically, it's a nightmare to try and do an audit. So that's how they're getting away from it.
Yeah. And of course, there is the polisher, the man that polishes.
Yes, polishes the true legend.
The assless chaps. He polishes those. I don't know. I think someone sent a couple of pictures through of Great. Is it Great and Clean One or Scabiathrax or something? Polishing some belly. And today I discovered another one, which was a flesh painted Magnus, and I've had to, even though the channel's not for kids, I've still had to cover that just in case.
No, just even the old bell, shall we say?
Gotta hide the dong.
It reminds. Do you remember Ali G in the house?
Yes.
When he gets locked to the fence and that old guy comes along polishing the fence. Yeah. That's what it reminded me of.
Hey man, we do what we gotta do to stay shiny.
That's a meme right there. That one, the LEG one, definitely.
Yeah. And I imagine the little guy be like, "Were you sucked off a horse?"
Classic.
Yeah. Have you seen? Because you said about the Great Unclean One. Have you seen the one where it's a flesh painted Great Unclean One, but they've filled the belly back up and he's cleaned that, so he's cleaned the Great Unclean One, like
the buddy belly.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's top quality model, and it's that kind of meme stuff. You can't pre-plan that.
Of course you can't.
Oh no, it was good shit. Though.
It was solid. It was solid. Anyway, on to
just quickly.
Oh yes, carry on.
Sorry, I was going to say. Speaking of like one-off things, what do we think about this whole £150 sergeant? Is he a sergeant or lieutenant?
I think he's a sergeant.
It's a sergeant. Yeah.
What do we think about that?
I'll let you guys go first.
I don't mind. I think people want to get outraged over it because, and the people, I think everyone's trying to say that, oh, it's just Games Workshop trying to cash in, trying to squeeze money out of people, but
Mm-hmm.
it's just a sergeant.
Yep.
It's nothing special. If you are that desperate that you're gonna spend 150 quid on Games Workshop just to get them, then that's your prerogative. But I think it's just a nice bonus. I don't think anyone's gonna go out of their way to buy stuff just for him.
No.
It's a great model, but like I said, it's a nice bonus. That's all it is, in my opinion.
Fair enough. I mean, me personally, the only gripes I've got with it, I just think it was the pricing point. I think if you'd set it as 100 quid, do you know what I mean? 150, bit on the high side. I mean, say for example, I wanted to pick up a few things, and rather than go to the friendly local gaming store, which to be honest, 9 times out of 10 I would always do. But like you say, if you fancy that mini, it's not going to do anything magic on the tabletop. It's not going to be game breaking or anything like that. But I think by setting it at 150, I think they've kind of priced out a lot of people.
Well, it's not for everyone, to be honest. It's just a bonus for people that spend lots of money.
Exactly.
I mean, shit, anyway, if I'm dropping 150 quid on Games Workshop from their website, yes, please give me something to make it worth my money.
Yeah. No, that's fair enough.
If anything, I think they should have more models like that for a lot of other factions. It would be nice. It would be a nice bonus, so you get to pick a little bonus model. I think, speaking of the price point, I think 150 is okay. Yeah, 100 would be nicer, obviously. Bigger availability, but thing is, people still need to buy stuff from Games Workshop, depending on what faction they play, because there's a lot of Games Workshop exclusive models. So
they took them away from
the Tyranids have a lot.
Yeah.
So I think they should make a special model for the Nids, just because they need to buy a lot of shit from them.
You do. That's true. Anyway, sorry.
No. So my general opinion on the whole thing, I've got a few angles to attack it from. So mainly, I don't care. I couldn't care less. Alistair says it's a lieutenant. I still don't care. I mean, right, so everything that you don't buy from Games Workshop is usually 10-20% cheaper. So if you're buying from Games Workshop, you're actively spending 10-20% more for no reason, unless it's a Games Workshop exclusive model. So you got your Hellhounds, your Basilisks, all sorts of models that a lot of people want and are good and are solid that they need for their armies. They're going to be dropping quite a lot of money on them. Oh, I got a random free lieutenant. There are approximately 50,000 lieutenants, as far as I'm aware, with 86 different loadouts, and they're 10 a penny.
Yep.
And I mean, do people? How many times have you seen someone run an actual lieutenant?
Yeah,
pretty good, right?
Yeah, they're fine.
Sorry, I'm new to fucking Space Marine, so I might be getting my stuff wrong.
It's reroll
lieutenants
wounds.
Are the headquarters choice that rerolls wounds, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you sure it's a lieutenant? I thought it was
Lieutenant Cask. Fuck, what's his name?
Okay, yeah, who cares about the name? But okay, so it's a lieutenant. Cool.
Yeah,
he's got a restricted loadout, so it's a bit whatever. But I guess you can kid bash it.
It's just a free model if you happen to spend a buttload of money. So for those people that were automatically going to pre-order a metric fuck ton of orcs, they just got a free model for nothing.
Yeah, that's the way I'm looking at it.
If you care that much, I'm sure you can buy it from a Russian or Chinese recaster in about 4 weeks. Also, let's be realistic. So generally, I just don't care. The only thing that is sort of, I don't even like the model. I'll be honest, I don't like it.
No.
Speaking, actually, something just popped into my head. I think it would be nice if they made him available as just a standalone model that you could buy.
Yeah.
Sure, you can get it for free, spend that much, or you can buy it for the usual lieutenant price.
Yep.
They'll probably will in about 6-12 months.
I just feel like there's so many lieutenants that it's difficult to get angry when one of 80 lieutenants you can't get.
Yeah.
Like I just don't care enough. I mean, I play I'm not a hardcore Space Marine player. I have a Space Marine army. Everybody's got one. I don't know.
I think there's more outrageous things that Games Workshop does.
Pretty much. About. Did you okay? So people are complaining about a model that you get for free if you spend 150 quid, but they're not complaining that you literally cannot sort the
No, you guys are wrong.
The books on games.
He's a sergeant.
GW. Is it a sergeant?
He's a sergeant. That's why I got confused, because I was like, I'm pretty sure he's assault intercessor.
Yeah. Anyway, right. Warhammer Plus, the Vault. Did you know you cannot sort the magazines by release date?
Very cool.
I mean, isn't that not more egregious than a random model that you get for free? I don't know. Anyway. Moving on to the main event after half an hour. This was Dan's. This is Dan's baby. So our new little series is Why You Should Play. We're starting off with the Harlequins, which, for the most part, they are one of the hardest armies to paint in the entire game, if not the hardest. But if you paint them well, I think they are the best looking army in the entire game. Yeah. If you can paint them that well.
Yeah, I think I would agree with you. I mean, obviously, it's subjective. I know some people don't like the troop models, so they're just normal troops. But I think they're really cool. They have a special place in my heart because they're such a unique faction in the game. They have a very distinct look. It's unmistakable, right? You spot them from a mile away, and you're like, that's Harlequins. So they're a cool faction.
So I've played against Harlequins. Have you played against Harlequins, James?
No, never.
So Dan, do you want to give us a kind of overview on how the army functions, the model range, stuff like that?
We want to. Can do. Do you guys want to talk about the lore first and the models, or
can do,
and then go into
you've got to convince me and James to play Harlequins.
Okay, sure. So it's going to be a tough sell because I know Nathan doesn't like Eldari very much.
I specifically like the Harlequins. I just don't like Craft World Eldar.
But they're very interesting from a lore perspective, right? So they are the obviously they are Eldari warriors who are dedicated and servants of the Eldar laughing god, Shigora.
Kegarak. Sigarich.
Yes, it's a bit of confusion there on how. I think the correct pronunciation is Segora, right?
I have no idea.
But either way, so they're laughing gods. So they're quite interesting because they are not affiliated with any of the Eldari factions. So they're not part of the Craft Worlds. They're not part of the Exodites, nor the Dark Eldar, the Drakari. However, they are welcomed by all factions. So they are in good relations with all of them. That's because they are sort of like, from a lore perspective, they're traveling. They're kind of like a traveling act. So they tell the stories of the Eldar race through like how would you call it? Like it is just
the endless dance.
Yeah. They call it the endless dance. So like a theatrical presentation, if you wish. So it's pretty cool. And they're sort of from a fighting perspective, they are extremely quick, even by Eldar standards, and have some very interesting specialized equipment that no other Eldar get. So stuff like the Harlequin's Kiss and the Harlequin's Caress, which are very, very specific to them.
And they're directly shielded from Slaanesh by the Laughing God, aren't they?
Yes. All of their souls are kept and protected by Shigora. So
Wow. And he's only one of two Eldar gods that are still alive. Is that right? Or is
yeah,
he the
in
only one
theory,
that's still
he's
alive?
the only one. Yeah, he was the only one that was left alive after
Right.
the big fuck up. The only one the only other one that's alive now is was it the God of the Dead?
Right.
Isn't that lady in Nurgle's garden? I forget her name.
No,
Oh
that's
yes.
well, I guess she's alive, but that's a weird one. That's
Yeah.
going into weird lore that is. I don't think that's ever been like properly confirmed by Games Workshop. I think it's
Right.
very old lore, and it ties to. I think it ties to Age of Sigmar in a weird way as well. So
Mm. Yeah, it's one of those crossover jinx.
yeah. And obviously now they're also involved with Yvain, and the Incarn and all of those as part of the
Aeldari.
yeah.
Eldari.
I'll say that they're quite an interesting faction, very unique. I think they even had some. I think they even like do their shows on like some human worlds and stuff. So they kind of just go all over the place, wherever they please. And one of their core beliefs sort of is that they're all working toward this final jest of Shigora. So they believe that there will be this final standoff between them and Slanesh. So that's what they're all sort of preparing and working towards in their own mysterious and slightly autistic ways.
What are some of the sort of core army rules surrounding the faction?
Core army rules. They're a peculiar army because they're one of the armies that have the least amount of models.
And the least amount of rules.
And they have quite a few rules because they had a supplement in
White Dwarf,
a
yeah.
magazine. They had a supplement that introduced the pivotal rules, which adds more rules to their headquarters and elites. But as an army, they're very fast and hard hitting army. Pretty close range, so mid to close range. They have very good melee, and they extensively abuse fusion weapons, which are the Eldar version of melters. So
Right.
all of their troops can be equipped with basically a melter pistol.
Oh.
And they have open top transports, so your transports suddenly have 5 melter guns inside.
Yeah. So they got some pretty fast transports that are 4 up inborn, -1 to hit. They can carry up to six models in them. So it's very common for them to run lots of transports with lots of troops, maxed out with fusion pistols.
Yeah, they've got the flip belt rule, most of them as well.
Yeah, so army wide, there's 2 things that they have army wide, which is the flip belt rule, which means they ignore terrain and other models when they move. So it's like pseudo fly keyword. And the other thing they have is, I believe it's called crescendo, which basically gives an army-wide rule of advance and charge.
Yeah, so they're like the Eldar equivalent of White Scars with melter.
Yeah, you can look at them that way.
Fast as fuck, melee powerhouses, and just melter sprinkled in.
Yeah, but while I think that they're fast, they're definitely faster than White Scars. I think all of their troops, for example, have like baseline movement of 8 inches. But they're very fragile.
Yes.
So all of their stuff is like toughness 3, only 1 wound. So they are very much the definition of a glass scanner.
Yeah,
they hit very hard, very fast.
They also have Haywire?
Yeah, they got access to Haywire weaponry.
And it's the
Which is like
old rule Haywire?
Yeah. So it's only the Drukhari that had a change to Haywire weapons. They still run the old rule where it's just 4 ups do mortal wounds, 6 ups do D3 mortal wounds.
D3, yeah.
And is that to anything?
Vehicles only. So it's
Vehicles only.
Haywire weapons are specifically anti-vehicle.
Yeah.
But they absolutely shred vehicles.
So back in early 9th, I think, was it early 9th? We played Death Guard versus Harlequins.
Yeah.
And Dan got across the board, first turn, took every single objective except mine. And by turn 2, he'd killed 3 Plague Burst Crawlers with Haywire.
A lot. Yeah, I think it was probably by turn 3.
Yes, yeah.
But yeah, they got blasted hard.
So they're incredibly fast. Insanely fast. I'd argue faster than Drukhari.
They're on the same level.
Yeah.
You could argue they're faster because they got the army-wide advance and charge.
Yeah.
But the transports are the same speed.
Yeah.
It's just they got the advantage of better invuln saves and a -1 to hit.
Yeah.
Is it the Harlequins do?
Yeah, they're the transports.
Right.
And isn't there is it chromatic blur?
Yeah. So they have Crescendo, which is the ability. Basically, they can all Crescendo basically lets them advance and charge, retreat, and they can retreat and charge, all of that stuff.
Yeah.
So they literally can't be tied down in any way. Blur of color is what gives. Blur of color is when they advance, they just get straight up 6 inches rather than rolling for the dice. That's on vehicles only.
Yeah.
Hollow fields are the 4-up invulnerable save, and it's mirage launches that gives them -1 to hit.
Yeah.
But it's specifically in the shooting phase.
Yeah. So if you play White Scars or Blood Angels and you want to be more killy, more fast, but die on a 50-50 dice roll, they're pretty much the way you would go from Space Marines to Xenos, I think.
Yeah, so they're definitely very much a finesse army. So
yeah.
It's the kind of army where one wrong movement will get you killed. It's definitely the army that like wins or loses in the movement phase. Mm-hmm. It's a very tactical army. It's easy to mess up.
When
if you master it,
list,
yeah.
So in a 2K list, how many models would you have on the table, would you say, roughly?
Right, so I think I'll answer that, but I think probably first it might be nice to discuss what models they actually have access to, because it's
that's fair enough, yeah.
So for headquarters, they only have 2 choices. They have a Shadow Seer, which is their version of a Psyker. And they got access to some very interesting psychic abilities. The Shadow Seer also doubles as a really weird, almost like an apothecary. He has a rule called Shield from Harm, and your opponents have to subtract 1 from wound rolls for any attacks made against friendly units within 6 inches, which is surprisingly strong.
Yeah. I forgot about that.
Yeah. So Shadow Seer is very strong. And the other headquarters is the Troop Master. The Troop Master is sort of your... I want to compare it to a captain, but it's not. It's just the melee buffing HQ. One thing that the Harlequins lack is an army-wide reroll, like normal captains do for Space Marines, and sort of the generic captain-like HQ that every faction gets. They don't get access to that. The Troop Master gives them a reroll to wounds in melee only, and you have to spend 2 command points to give him the ability to reroll hits, and again, it's only in melee only. So it's very, very expensive. It's not something that usually it's usually done. It's called Great Harlequin. It's a stratagem for 2 command points, and it's only reroll hits of 1 in melee. So that's the headquarters. You usually always run a Shadow Seer at least, and a Troop Master at least, because they're very killy in melee. So they can get some really nice. There's a sword relic that's really, really good for them that people use. But we'll discuss that a bit later when we discuss their relics and warlord traits. For troops, they have only one choice, and it's called Troop.
It's just French for troop, right?
Yeah. As in like a band of actors kind of troop. They're great. They are straight up the backbone of your army. They can take a variety of melee weapons and a choice of a pistol of sorts. Most commonly, like I said, people will take a few units. So they're minimum 5, up to 10 in total. Or no, up to 12, I'm sorry. They can have a maximum of 12 in a unit. But usually have 5 or 6. Always ran in transports because the Harlequin transports are just so good. So you always load them up with either you have the shooty boys, which will always take the fusion pistols, and they're just standard melter rules, strength 8, AP -4, D6 damage. If it's within half range, you roll 2 dice, discard the lowest. However, as their pistols, they're only 6 inches, so it's not very often you're going to get the double dice rule, but it's still really good. In terms of ballistic skill, I think it's just army-wide 3-up weapon skill, and ballistic skill, which is sort of standard for Eldar. In terms of melee weapons, that's when they get interesting. So they have access to their standard just Harlequin blade, which is nothing fancy. It's just strength user, AP 0, 1 damage. That's their default loadout, if you wish. Then they get access to the Harlequin's Caress, the Harlequin's Embrace, and the Harlequin's Kiss. The Caress is like a really weird glove that they wear, so they can slap you really hard with it. That's the more like higher strength, medium AP 1 damage. So it's strength +2, AP -2, 1 damage. They got the Harlequin's Embrace, which is strength +1, AP -3, 1 damage, and the Harlequin's Kiss is strength +1, AP -1, D3 damage. I think these everyone's just running the Embrace for the high AP or the Caress. I think people run the Caress more just because of the high strength, just to kill Marines, stuff like that. So those are the usual picks.
Like I'm trying to convert it in my head, and it sounds like the equivalent to a power fist, a power sword, and a lightning claw. I guess.
I guess that's
not?
Kind of. I think it's more like power axe. So like the Embrace is a power sword, right? Strength +1, AP -3, and the axe is strength +2, AP -2, right? I think that's how axes are.
Yeah.
For Space Marines, right? Yeah. And the Kiss is the weird one where it's like D3 damage. Used to be good, not so much these days.
No.
Yeah, great. They're great. Like I said, most players will run a lot of troops of 5 to 6 men in transports. Speaking of the transports, the Star Weaver, fantastic, 16-inch movement, toughness 5, 6 wounds.
16-inch, and it auto advances 22.
Auto advances +6, so yeah, 22 inch.
Jesus.
I've switched my mic over to the Lavalier because they said that they were echoing with the Yeti. So
Yeah, your Yeti wasn't echoey. It was like it was really strange. It sounded like it sounded distorted, like you almost had
right.
had it too loud.
I'm beginning
They sound okay now.
to
They're a bit
just want to
echoey.
sack off the Yeti for everything.
Fair enough. No worries. But yeah, so Star Weavers, the only transport choice they have, and it's not very expensive. 80 points. They don't have any choices in weapons, so they're just standard loadout of shuriken cannons, which are exactly the same as their Eldar counterpart. So Assault 3, Strength 6, AP -0, 1 damage, 1 roll of 6s do AP -3. But like I mentioned earlier, they're all about the crescendo ability. So the people in the transport can shoot even if the transport fell back. They got the holo fields for 4 bin vuln, -1 to hit, all of that good stuff. And of course, open topped, so the troops can shoot their melter pistols. In terms of, they do have a heavy weapons choice, or heavy attack, if you wish, which is the Void Weaver. Uses the same chassis as the Star Weaver, but it's not very great. It's not used very often. It just doesn't have the firepower that a transport can bring.
It's just guns, isn't it? It's just a gun platform.
It
kind of is average.
I mean, the Shuriken Cannon, and then you can take an additional Haywire Cannon on it. Sorry, no, it comes with two Shuriken Cannons and a Haywire, and you can replace one of the Shurikens to either another Haywire or a Prismatic Cannon. For people that don't know, the Haywire Cannon is a 24-inch range weapon, assault D6, strength 4, AP -1, 1 damage. However, the main rule of it is if it targets a vehicle and you roll a wound of 4 up, the target suffers a mortal wound. In addition to any other damage, if you wound on a 6 up, it suffers D3 mortal wounds. So it absolutely shreds vehicles. It's great.
Especially when it's a squad with like many.
Yeah. So we'll talk about this in a second. That the Haywires come in more relevant in the fast attack slot. The Prismatic Cannon for the Void Weavers, it's okay. It's one of those multi-profile weapons. So it has a melter. It has like a jacked up bolter and somewhere in between. So I either go with D6 shots at 4 -2 1, D3 shots at 6 -3 D3, or 1 shot to 8 -4 D6. It's okay. It's not great. But the other thing that the Harlequins are known for is their Skyweavers. This is an fast attack choice. They're the little jet bikes. And what's cool about them is they can have Haywire cannons. So they each can have a Haywire cannon. And you can upgrade the rider on the back with a melee weapon. So they're kind of deadly in both melee and ranged. In terms of abilities, they still got Rising Crescendo, so they can advance and charge, or fall back and shoot charge. They still have Blur of Color, so they can advance. Well, when they advance, they get a 6-inch additional movement rather than rolling for it. They still have Holo Suits, and they still have Mirage Launchers. So just as annoying to deal with for anyone that's got a high ballistic skill. But yeah, you can take them in units of 2 to 6. So that's a lot of Haywire cannons. So six Haywire cannons gets pretty nutty. So you move them. They're like 22 inches. Shoot like 6 haywire shots, and then you still get to charge with like 3 attacks at strength 4, AP -2, flat 2 damage. They're pretty great, fantastic. The only thing we haven't spoke about is elites. They got access to elites. The Death Jester, which is, in my opinion, one of the coolest models. I love the little guy.
Is he the sniper?
Yeah. So he's like a
Yeah.
sniper unit. They get this shuriken cannon that can either do like a sniper round or like a 3-shot at 0 AP. So it's not very great. The Death Chester is meh unless you give him a relic. They get access to. Allow me to have a look. It's called. Can't find it.
Tell you what, while Dan's looking, I've got a little quote thing I could read out regarding the Death Jester.
Go for it.
The Death Jester advances upon the foe with measured, menacing gait. There's no mercy in his heart. He embraces the role of death in its entirety. His grotesque skull helm leers with sick amusement in its blank stare, bearing a promise of the carnage to come. In his hands, he effortlessly carries an outsized shuriken cannon, and as the foe comes into range of the weapon, is swept down and primed. Great coat billowing, bells jingling, with an obscene cheer, the Death Jester lets fly, the hissing report of his weapon counterpointed by the screams of his dying foes. Each round is impregnated with virulent biotoxins that cause the victim's metabolism to detonate spectacularly. Slightest wound promises a swift and horrific death, transforming the victim into a living bomb, should I say, of jagged bone and boiling gore. Through it all, the Death Jester looks on with amusement, keenly watching for any way in which to make his victim's death more darkly comedic. It is a credit to his twisted ingenuity, and that he will normally succeed. There you go.
They are straight up psychopaths.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, man.
As in terms of the rules as well, they have a wacky. When a model flees, they choose what flees, not the defender. I think is that
almost. You're close. You're close.
Is it the direction that they flee?
No.
No.
No, Nathan is right, and that's part of their pivotal roles.
Right.
Death is not enough. That's the one. So if any models flee from a unit in the same turn that it has been attacked by this model, the Death Jester, then you can choose the first model that flees instead of your opponent choosing.
Yeah.
Wow.
So if they fuck up a leadership test, you can basically force them to lose their sergeant or their special weapons guy in the squad, or a guy that's in combat or whatever, to pull them out of combat.
Yeah. Additionally, if your opponent has spread the units out in a weird way, you can potentially take out like the middle guy in their army and break unit coherency.
And then they lose so much more.
Yeah, yeah. So you can do some shenanigans with them.
And his gun subtracts leadership from what he shoots at as well, so it just kind of feeds into it. It's an interesting model. I don't see them played very much.
Sometimes it's taken as a one-off. So, but you'll have to give him the relic. So the relic I was talking about is a Shrieker cannon called Shigora's Lament or Lament. Yeah. So it's got 2 profiles: Assault 3 at 6 -3 1 damage, or Assault 1 at 6 -3 3 damage. But before selecting targets, select one of the following profiles. So, as we said, each time a model is slain by an attack made with the whale profile, so that's the 6 -3 3, Its unit suffers D3 mortal wounds, and until the end of the next turn, subtract 2 from their leadership characteristic. So that's the gun they use with Death is Not Enough, just to mess with them. And it's quite beefy though. A shot at 6 minus 3 should kill stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he's quite expensive points wise, which is why a lot of people don't take him.
He's 50 points.
Oh, he's not that much at all.
No, he's not an expensive model. The other elite choice is more expensive. That's the one that you hardly ever see, but he's got some of the most bananas rules. I love him, and I try to run him in every army. And that is the Solitaire.
Mm-hmm.
This little bastard. They're pretty fucking crazy. I think lore-wise, they're the ones that play the role of Slanesh in their plays.
Mm-hmm.
And because of that, they're a bit booky. So they got some very interesting rules. One of the things that he does by default, he has a 12-inch movement. So he's ridiculously lightning fast. And
Blitz? Does he have Blitz?
yes, so there's a few different abilities that they get. One of them being Blitz, which basically allows him to dead-ass charge across the board. Let me get the exact wording. The exact wording is as follows. Once per battle, when you make a normal move, you can make a Blitz move instead. If you do, add 2d6 to this model's move characteristic, and on the charge, you change their attacks to 10. So it's basically once per game, you move 12 plus 2d6 inches, charge, and on the charge, he's got 10 baseline attacks. And he's got both a Caress and a Harlequin's Kiss. So when he gets in, he will slap your shit pretty fucking hard. The Blitz is pretty cool. I'm not sure it's worth taking. You can do some other really funky stuff with him. The Harlequins have one of their stratagems is pretty neat. If you run a Shadow Seer, a Death Jester, and a Solitaire, you get to redeploy them. So you can, well, you wouldn't need the Blitz at that point. You probably give him just a 3-up inborn save and redeploy him really close to the enemy, and he'll still get in and slap some shit because 12-inch movement with an advanced charge is nothing to scoff at. He's basically an attack bike.
He kind of reminds me of the Eversaw Assassin. Appears out of nowhere, charges in, blends an infantry squad, and then explodes.
Yeah, but even the exploding part's pretty hard though, because like 3-up inborn save.
Yeah,
you can give him. You can use stratagems to give him -1 to hit, stuff like that. So the guy is pretty wild.
What about masks?
Masks. So yeah, so masks are the equivalent of chapters. I guess compared to or I don't know, like craft worlds, whatever. So they're the sub factions, if you wish. There's a few of them to choose from. You got Dreaming Shadow, Frozen Stars, Midnight Sorrow, etc., etc. So Dreaming Shadow gives your army. That's a weird one.
Ignore morale.
Yeah, ignore attrition test. And when a model is slain, you roll a d6 before you remove it. On a 4-up, that model can either shoot or fight. So it's pretty good. Some people run Midnight Shadow. Frozen Stars is very good. That gives your army basically a army-wide +1 to their attacks when they charge.
The lightning assault.
Yeah. So I'm a fan. I usually run Frozen Stars. Midnight Sorrow gives them an additional d6 movement when they fall back. and they can consolidate up to 6 inches. That's very strong. Silent Shroud gives them... They're the guys that shred morale. So subtract 1 from leadership of enemy units within 6 inches. Whenever an opponent takes a morale test that is within 6 inches of your guys, they have to roll 2 dice and discard the lowest result. Soaring Spike is the other one that's very popular. It changes the weapon type of units that are in a transport to assault. Well, changes the pistol specific. Pistol weapons become assault in a transport, and then assault weapons don't get a penalty for advance and charge. Well, sorry, for advancing and shooting. So that's a common one if you want to load up on lots of transports with fusion pistols. That's the one you'd be going for, because then you can get 22-inch movement, and still blast people with pistols. And then there's the weirdest one out of all of them. I always thought it was peculiar. It's not great, but I can't think of any other army that has something similar. It's the Mask of the Veiled Path. And their rule is, at the start of each fight phase, roll 2 dice and discard the highest result. Until end of that phase, each time your opponent targets a unit with this form and makes a hit roll before any modifiers, if that hit roll exactly matches your dice result, that hit roll fails. So it's like a really weird pseudo -1 to hit, but not really.
It's weird because you discard your highest result.
Yes.
So you're actively getting shafted by that. So if you roll a 6 and a 1, you've got to discard the 6 and keep the 1, and the 1 literally doesn't do anything because they would fail anyway. I feel like it's amazing against armies like the Custodes.
Yeah, if you can roll a 2 or a 3,
then it becomes okay. But against anything else, it's kind of
yeah, you want really high rolls for that anyway.
Yeah.
So, for example, you mentioned Custodes. They hit on a 2-up. Against most of your stuff, they're going to be hitting on a 3-up. So you really want, if you roll a 4 or a 5 or a 6, you're dead in the money, right? That really fucks with them. But it's not one that gets commonly picked, because it, like Nathan said, it's really awkward because you have to roll 2 dice and discard the highest result. The other thing that they got, this was a supplement in the White Dwarf magazine. So at the time of the Psychic Awakening, every faction in the game got their army in the books except for Harlequins, because Games Workshop forgets they exist. So they printed some additional rules for them in White Dwarf. But unlike the usual stuff they print in White Dwarf with additional rules, their rules were fucking great. So what they got is something called pivotal roles. And these are abilities that you can pay to give to your elites and headquarters units. And they're all pretty good. I don't think it's worth me going into every option for every
just talk about the quality ones.
The ones that people like are stuff like, for example, for the Death Jester, Humbling Cruelty is really good. And that basically says if you hit with the Death Jester, the unit is pinned and you subtract 2 from their movement characteristic, and they can't fire Overwatch. So that's really useful if you're trying to stop your opponent getting into melee combat with your guys, or just getting to a point, that kind of stuff. What else is good? For the Solitaire and Natural Acrobatics, -1 to hit rolls. So if you don't want the Blitz ability, You can replace it with the natural acrobatics, which is pretty cool. He already has a 3-up invuln save, so all of a sudden got a 3-up invuln -1 to hit guy that will bitch slap anyone. So that's pretty good. For the Shadow Seer, I don't think people pick any of the pivotal roles for it.
Twilight Pathways.
Twilight Pathways?
Or Veil of Illusion, whatever it is.
Veil of Illusion, yeah, that's one that people pick. That just makes it, basically it reduces your opponent's range of their weapons by 6 when you're targeting stuff that is within 6 inches of your Shadow Seer. So that is pretty good. So if you're running 2 Shadow Seers, you can run one with their Protect from Harm, so the -1 to wound rolls, and one with Veil of Illusion. The problem with those, they're all kind of, your units kind of fly ahead of the Shadow Seer anyway, so he's not gonna protect your troops much. But yeah, Veil of Illusion is really good. You can do some shenanigans, especially on deployment. So if your opponent's got some long range firepower, there's a good chance that with Veil of Illusion, they're not actually going to be able to hit you, even though they're
I was going to say
within range and line of sight.
It fucks over Demolisher tank commanders, especially if they're running spotter details, because it basically removes their spotter details.
Yeah.
It fucks over most melter platforms, because then they've got to get just that little bit further.
Yeah, it's just, again, it's an aura around a Shadow Seer. So if your transports are zipping across the battlefield, it's not going to help much. It is very good though. It is, like, I'm not saying it's bad. It's just you don't get to take as much advantage of it because you don't really foot slog your units.
Yeah.
If for some reason you are doing a very sort of, it's still fast by footlong standards, I get. But if you're doing a foot sloggy Harlequins army with lots of troops that are just marching across the battlefield, yes, the Veil of Illusion will be very good. And for the Troop Master, a popular one is Prince of Light, which gives him a reroll charges.
Is that an aura for him?
Him and everything within 6 inches.
Oh, it's an aura. Okay.
Ooh.
Yeah, I don't think I've explained it well enough, but the pivotal roles are a bit odd. So, like we discussed earlier, every one of these headquarters has like a really cool ability, right? So, Shield from Harm for the Shadow Seer, the Troop Master with his reroll to wounds. The pivotal roles, you have to replace those abilities with one of the other pivotal roles, but you can spend command points to get basically 2 pivotal roles. So their normal ability and one of these additional pivotal roles.
It's a bit like AdMech when you're changing your doctrines. You cycle through. Or
No. This is just literally just, instead of replacing the ability, you just add it on top of the current one. So it's just stacking buffs.
Right. Sorry, just when you said you've got to change them from one to the other, I'm thinking that you're changing them during the turns, or
no. This is before the game. You literally So,
right,
for example, we're talking about the Shadow Seer and Veil of Illusion, right? If
Yeah.
you want to take Veil of Illusion, that will replace Shield from Harm. But if you spend 1 CP, you can get Veil of Illusion and Shield from Harm.
I'm with you. Right.
And I think that's about it for specific rules for them.
Yeah, I mean, I can. I'm happy to give an example list. I've been sort of trawling through 40k stats for Harlequins' performance in tournaments, and they're doing all right.
They're doing well. I think at the moment in the meta they are mixed with Craft World Eldar.
Yeah.
And I think the only thing people take from Craft World Eldar is pretty much, the Reapers,
Dark Reapers,
Dark Reapers and Shining Spears, isn't it?
And then Farseer, Skyrunner to run with those
Yeah,
guys
just,
and
the
smite,
headquarters.
Executioner, all that good,
all
like
the good
ridiculous.
Eldari spells,
Yeah.
the good stuff. The
Um,
Eldar still have good psychic power.
so a list from a recent GT that took third place is pretty much what Dan said. It's 90% Harlequins and then a little bit of Craftworld Eldar sprinkled in there. And it is they run it as the Soaring Sprite Serpent's Blood, so the one that is
Transport.
the
Units
transport
and
thing.
transports become assault weapons rather than pistols.
Yeah. And then they're running one Shadow Seer with the two pivotal role of Twilight Pathways, but they're spending a CP to have both. And two Troop Masters, one with the Twilight Fang and the other one just generic.
Yeah, the Twilight Fang is it's a relic. It's a relic sword. A very strong one at that.
Oh, I think the pivotal role is Soaring Spike Sky Strider.
Pivotal role?
Yeah.
On who?
So this list, the Shadow Seer's got a pivotal role, the Troop Master's got a pivotal role for sub 1 CP as well.
Oh yeah, so they're just stacking up their roles,
And then they're running four squads of troops, 4 Star Weavers for those troops, obviously to make the most of the sort of doctrine type thing. 3 squads of Sky Weavers, which is your madness of Melter and Haywire or whatever. And then the custom craftware, which is the expert crafters and masterful shots, which is we shoot good, we shoot reliably, Eldar. So you're running, like Dan said, Dark Reapers with a couple of the launcher guns and then some Shrining Spears and a Farseer Skyrunner. And most lists are very, very, very similar. And they all perform the same as well. They're all picking up like 3rd, 4th place at a lot of GTs.
Yeah, it's a very strong army. It's a very solid army if you want to spend the time and learn and master them. They're really fun to play. I do like armies that go fast, shall we say, and they fit right in. So very fast glass cannons. They can definitely dish out some damage. The reason I think people run them with Craftwell Eldar is their main sort of the one thing that they don't have is long range fire support. That's where the Reapers come in. And the Reapers are so good, because they get Reapers.
They hold your backfield objectives type thing.
Yeah, and Reapers can shoot without the need of line of sight.
Oh, really?
So yeah, I'm pretty certain Dark Reapers shoot, but they don't need line of sight. I'll double check.
That would be good, wouldn't it?
They've always been they've been nerfed so many times throughout 8th edition. Because everyone was just rocking.
Shuriken, the Tempest Launcher, Blast, and can target units that are not visible to the bearer.
They're very good. Dark Reapers are very good.
Damn.
I wish they had a nice new model.
Yeah, I mean, they do suffer on
because they're still ugly resin.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's a great army. It's also. If you want to talk about downsides, actually no, I got let's talk about the downsides. The main downsides are very expensive by Games Workshop standards, because all of their models come in kits that have very few models in them. So for example, your troops, that's a kit with only 6 dudes in it.
And you need 10, right?
You don't need 10. They usually run them in units of 5 or 6.
Okay.
Because the transport limit is 6.
Yeah.
In the Star Weavers. But from that kit you can make their headquarters.
Oh, like Custodes.
The Troop Master. You make the Troop Master out of that kit as well. And then the bike kit. So the Sky Weavers, the little bikes. Sky Weavers. They come in a kit with 2
Ooh, that sucks.
And it's not great because their minimum squad size is 2, but usually run them in units of 4 to 5.
Yeah.
Maximum is
Right.
6.
You're basically
And then
running
you
MSU
need a lot of
to
transport.
prevent blast and have lots of threats.
Yeah, and then you need a lot of transports, obviously, because you pretty much want to transport all your troops. You don't want to let them foot slogs. So they can be quite pricey. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if they're pricier than AdMech.
AdMech
I
is
know
quite
AdMech used to be.
expensive.
Yeah, but they're definitely up there in terms of price.
Yeah.
And like Nathan mentioned at the start, if you're new to painting, it's probably the worst army to pick. The models are very. I love their models, but they're very slender, very delicate models. And the recommended paint schemes are very intricate that require a lot of like hand painted patterns. So the very traditional patterns for Harlequins are diamond patterns, and doing those by hand is very difficult. But it's a great challenge, right? If you want to paint something hard that looks really cool, definitely go for Harlequins.
They're similar in looks as well as performance in that if you are really good at painting, they will look amazing. But if you are not good at painting, they'll look garbage. And equally with the rules, if you're a really good player and you get loads of reps in with them and you know the army really well, you're going to absolutely like dance circles around people and do some serious damage. But if you're like a freshman, you're gonna you one wrong move and you've lost a very expensive asset that you can't afford to lose, because they're very similar to Custodians in that they live and die by -1 to hit and their invulns.
Yeah. I mean, personally, I've looked at Harlequins a number of times, and I've just been like, "Oh, there's a painting challenge." Like, yes. Admittedly, though, I would never probably try and tackle them unless I had access to an airbrush.
Yeah.
I think, like, again, like Nathan says, if it goes wrong, they look like trash, and if it goes right, but an airbrush to a certain extent does let you cheat a lot. Like with your shades
So
and your blends and stuff like that, because they're
for
very
sure.
colourful. They are. They're very high contrast minis as well, because it's a lot of yellows and teals
Yeah, they
contrasted
love.
against blacks and leathers. Yeah,
Yeah, they love saturated colors and high contrast. So you'll see a lot of pinks, bright reds, bright yellows, bright blues. And they look great. I love their style. But yeah, Jay's right. What? Yeah. A airbrush will help. It depends how you paint them. I think if you want to paint them in the classic style, with the diamond patterns on their arms and on their legs, airbrush is not going to help much with that. You'll get your base codes done really quick, but there's no way you're going to be doing that with an airbrush.
I think it's more for the Skyweavers and
the big
Star
vehicles.
Weavers.
Yeah. Those, if you can get some stencils really help with Harlequins for their vehicles. If you can get some diamond pattern stencils, with an airbrush, those will come out real nice. You can even try and do some patterns with masking tape. So I've painted a while back. I've painted some Skyweavers using instead of doing diamond patterns, I was doing like line patterns on them, like spiral patterns, that kind of stuff, with masking tape, and those came out quite nice.
So I've just shared your paint scheme on the on the stream.
Not a fantastic picture.
I don't know.
It gives you an idea
smart.
of how you can approach it without having to do diamonds, and it still look,
and it looks great.
Yes, I did try to get a nice high contrast between the pink and the dark blue. But my aim is to try and get them painted as fast as possible. I guess I'm trying to choose the painting side of things, and that's all done with an airbrush, so that helps a lot. It's quite easy to get that nice fade between the two colors, and blend them in the middle. So that's done nicely with an airbrush.
Ooh.
I'll be doing diamond patterns on all my headquarters and on the vehicles, because those are the ones that I can spend a bit more time working on, and obviously they have a lot more time on the tabletop, because the whole of the troops are transport. You never see them anyway,
and then they get out, attack, and die.
Yeah, potentially. Yeah.
I'm just having a look on the Games Workshop website. The troops around £25, which, to be fair, a troop's choice is probably about standard price.
No, not really, because certain armies can they get kits of like 10 troops for 30 quid.
Yeah.
So getting 6 for 25 ain't great.
No, it's the Skyweavers that really, I think, hurt. I'm not trying to be a negative Nancy, but like £27.50 for 2 models.
It's pretty shit. Yet again, you spend 20 quid for a headquarters, so
yeah.
But yeah, no, they're quite pricey. But
actually,
I'm a big fan.
Ironically, the headquarters, all of your HQs and that are under 20 quid mark.
Yeah.
Yeah,
the old
the Death Jester 1750, the Shadow Sea is 1750. But yeah, I mean, honestly, it is the type of army. If you say we were having this conversation in this context in this podcast, and you didn't have an army of Harlequins, I'd be quite tempted, based on what we've said, to because I've looked at them a few times and thought, ooh.
They are cool. They're gorgeous models. They're just very delicate models.
Yeah.
It's unlike anything that Games Workshop has. I think even the Eldar not at that sort of level of like elegance, I think, as the Harlequins. Yeah, they're just great, and I think I just really like them on the tabletop as well. Like I said, I'm a big fan of things that go fast. And it's just like, give me the -1 to hit and invulns all day, baby. Just like, yes. When you roll well, it's probably one of the frustrating armies to play against.
So I'm just looking at prices.
Nathan can attest.
I've played against them, and they're just a really, really fun army to play if you can sort of do it well. And I guess if you're against someone who doesn't really understand how they function, then the opponent's not going to have a good time. But that's down to play style.
I think
just running the numbers for the Harlequin side of the mixed army, it will set you back about 400 quid, and then you just got to buy the Dart Reapers, the Eldar bikes, and the Farseer. So they're about the same price as most other armies, because AdMech will set you back about £800-900.
Is that based on games
based on GW
prices?
prices? Yeah. So it'll be cheaper if you buy from a reseller.
Okay.
It's funny. Have Harlequins ever featured in like box set games? Because I think just when Nathan's saying, right, which is a shame, because when Nathan's saying the AdMech will set you back, and he's right about 800-900 quid.
Yeah.
It was quite. I kind of got a lot of mine quite cutely. So with the Kill Team game, not this version, the previous one, you got stuff there. Then there was the specific box set that came out, which was Necron's Versus.
For sure. That's you bring up a good point. So all of the other armies have bundles where they can get a discount. So either big box sets, start collecting, patrol boxes. Harlequins are the only army, I believe, in the game that doesn't have a start collecting box.
Mm-hmm.
I think so. I can't think of any other army that doesn't have a start collecting.
They don't have
Actually.
a start collecting. They don't have a combat patrol. They don't have anything. The only way you can buy them as like a start collecting bundle discounted is buying the Element Games Harlequin starter bundle.
Yeah.
That comes with 2 troops, a dude, and 2 Star Weavers. But you don't really want the. Is the Star Weavers the transports?
Yeah, they come in the transport and the heavy support. So the Star Weaver and Void Weaver come from the same kit.
Oh, okay, there you go. Yeah, so
and they're quite easy to magnetize.
Yeah, so Element Games have got you covered if you do want a bundle.
I think what the takeaway is, even though I would highly recommend this army for anyone to try, probably not a starter army.
No.
Unless you want a challenge. I don't
Yeah.
know. Maybe you're coming back to the game after a long time and you fancy yourself a challenge. But as a brand new player, a bit rough. And I think that's purely from the modeling side of things, like the building and the building and painting them. They're quite tough. And like we said, with the lack of a start collecting, you have to buy specific things, which can be it feels like you're spending more, doesn't it, when you're just buying lots of different boxes rather than just, it's a start collecting kit.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Anyway,
what we're seeing, great army, fun to play, challenging to paint and build,
but very rewarding.
Very rewarding. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. And if there's any Harlequin players watching, I don't know, show us some of your Harlequins.
Yeah. On the paint booth.
Anyway, I think that will wrap us up for today. If you want to join us for our game next week, we'll be playing, what was it? Necrons, is it Salamanders?
Yeah, Necrons
and Salamanders next week on Thursday at 7 p.m. And then you can join us next Sunday at 7 p.m. for our next podcast, which will be pretty much one and the same. It'll be Why You Should Play. And we'll probably decide next week which army that'll be.
Yeah, probably with me talking less.
Yeah. I think, Harlequins are a difficult one because they're not massively popular, but they're very, very highly sort of competitive.
Very niche army.
Yeah,
for
real
sure.
niche. So it's always a difficult one to cover, but they are good. They are a solid army. Anyway, thank you everyone for watching or listening in, and we will catch you guys next week on Thursday.
Bye.
Don't forget to like and subscribe. Only an hour late.
Yes. Smooth.